Now moving on to the inside of the bag. At this point, this is one of the other features that I really like about this particular bag, which is this zipper track is a large horseshoe design that allows the entire kit to be completely opened up, and inside I have a nice organized system that allows me to get to my gear quickly and easily without too much fuss. So this in of itself, this particular opening of the bag, is an excellent feature and another reason why I like this particular bag for my carry system. So the first item I'm going to take out is my clothing. This is probably a little bit more than what I'd necessarily need to take on a typical trip. But as I mentioned, first, I'm still gaining experience, and second, it's, basically I'm planning on winter time or at least a cold situation. So where I'm gaining experience and I know I'm going into somewhat of a cold situation, I just wanted to make sure I had enough stuff. The last thing I want to do is find myself cold and having a miserable time. So this is a little over and above what some of you might consider necessary, but for me, at this particular time, I find it necessary. So in this, I have an extra pair of pants, 2 short sleeve shirts, 2 long sleeve shirts, 2 pairs of underwear, and 2 pairs of socks. Basically enough to change my outfit a couple times or double up in the event that I needed to. The other thing that you'll notice is this is, again, built around a nice lightweight sil nylon pouch. So that helps me keep the weight down at least a little bit. The next item I'll take out, this is basically my RAB down jacket. I essentially put it in this compression sack for the reason that I was able to compress this and keep it a nice long shape. If you see how it fits in the bag, it was able to fit my system very nicely in that regard. So I pretty much just picked the pouch that would allow this to fit in here the nicest. You'll notice too that I tend to keep this lower in the bag because this is a lightweight item. I like to keep my lighter weight stuff lower and to the outside in event to help keep my entire pack feeling reasonably balanced. So anyway, again, my RAB Micro Light Alpine Jacket. Moving on, you'll notice that my shelter system in this particular case is built around a tent. My tent is on the inside of the bag, and here I have basically cut myself a footprint for this tent. This tent I will review at a later date. This is the Big Agnes Triangle Mountain. You're not going to find too much information on it. It was a special release for 2016, and it's one of 100 units that are out there. And so really this is something I'm going to review at a later date, but it is in here now. Pretty much I contacted Big Agnes to see if I could get myself a footprint for this tent, and they said one was never made. So in a pinch right now I have a tarp. This is somewhat heavyweight. It's probably heavier than I need. I'm going to try to make myself a lighter option, but for now this is what I have. So that was in the bag. Removing the tent, you'll notice I had it installed inside the compression straps on the inside of the bag, holding it nice and tight up against my back. This is an ultralight tent. This is a 3-person ultralight tent. It's still pretty lightweight, but at the same time, it's between the 3 and 4 pound mark. So pretty lightweight, but at the same time, a little bit bulky and something that I don't need to get to until I get to my camp location. So to have it all the way on the inside of the bag and strapped tight up against my back worked out pretty well. The next items I'll pull out, basically I have my pan and pot. I picked these specifically because they fit nicely and nest with my sleeping bag. I have multiple different size pots, and I will pick the one that I like based on how it nests with my system. I always pack them in a plastic bag because I know after I use this, it's going to be kind of dirty coming back. Even if I have a chance to clean it, it's not going to be perfect. And I try to minimize the amount of grime I carry on the rest of my gear. So where this is my sleeping bag, even though this is in a dry bag, at the same time, I don't want my dry bag getting dirty because it'll eventually translate to the rest of my gear. So again, I do tend to pack my pots and pans in basically plastic bags to keep them clean. But I think the most important thing worth noting is just trying to pick a system that fits nicely together, fits in the pack in an organized fashion, and actually will give you the utility that you need. So in this regard, I end up with a nice size pot. This is a 2-liter pot, and also the cover and pan that goes with it. So anyway, this is part of my cooking system, and it nests very nicely with my sleeping bag. Now, discussing the sleeping bag, this is the C2 Summit Micro 3. This is a nice cold weather sleeping bag. I have been actually out in negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit in this bag. It's not rated for that, but I've done it, and I can tell you it was cold, but I was fine. I mean, I wasn't freezing cold. I made the night, and even at that, I was in a hammock. In fact, you can take a look at the video if you're interested in seeing the setup. This was part of my Kinsman Pond video that was released in the spring of 2016. So take a look if you really would like to see some more details about that setup. Just to finish my thoughts about this sleeping bag is I did put this in a dry bag. I figure in the worst case scenario where this is a down sleeping bag, if my pack did somehow manage to get wet, at least my sleeping bag would be protected, so I wouldn't be freezing cold if I had to get out of the weather and get into my warm sleeping bag. This is a very lightweight dry bag. It's a 5-liter dry bag, and it basically has compressed my sleeping bag down enough. I know I could compress my sleeping bag down even more, but the key for me is the shape. I got this to a nice shape that fits perfectly for the width of the bag, and that was what my goal was. So in that regard, this worked out quite nice. Now, just finalizing the contents inside this main compartment. Here I have 3 Fossil's lightweight bowls and plates. These pretty much just snap together and make little bowls or plates. I have 3 of them. It's more than I need, but at the same time, I could use these to share with somebody if I needed to. I could convert one to go catch water. I could probably use this to dig snow. There's a number of reasons why these are useful, so to have more than one certainly makes sense. These are ridiculously lightweight. They weigh almost nothing, and they have a ton of good quality, purposeful utility. Now moving on to these inner pockets. Here I have just a bundle of tie-downs and stakes. I carry way more than I need to. This is definitely heavier than I need, but at the same time, the last thing I want to do is find myself short of the ability to tie down my stuff, whether it's tie down additional points on my tent, tie down other equipment or tarps, the stakes, everything that I need to hold down my system in all types of weather is located right here. So again, more than I need, but at the same time, I don't ever want to find myself falling short. Continuing on in this inner pocket, I just have myself a little lightweight C2 Summit Aeros pillow. You know, I know a lot of people don't necessarily use pillows, and if they're going to, they'd say, well, why don't you just sleep on your clothing? Well, you know, for me, I just like a little bit of luxury, to be honest with you. So I carry not only one pillow, but if you go into this other side, I carry 2. Reason being, I could use one for my head. I could put another one under my knees. Maybe if I decided I was going to use this as a pillow, I could put 2 of these under my knees or switch it around. So again, is it more than I need to carry? Yes, but at the same time, I like to have just a little bit of luxury, and these super lightweight pillows are not going to kill me. And finalizing the inside of the bag, the very last thing, is my sleeping pad. This is a lightweight inertia ozone sleeping pad. I've very much enjoyed this. It's an excellent sleeping pad. It's reasonably small. It's pretty lightweight. I mean, it doesn't have a ton of weight to it. And so, you know, for me, again, another one of those little luxuries is just getting a good night's sleep, and to have a quality sleeping pad is definitely a must. Now, as I mentioned, this bag has a clamshell design, and on the inside of this outer flap, there are a couple of additional pockets. So what I've done is pretty much set up one of them with my cooking ability. So this is my stove I've recently reviewed this. This is a Vargo titanium lightweight setup. I have here a hexagon wood stove, and I have here a converter liquid fuel stove. So this year I'm going to attempt to use either alcohol or wood to do most of my cooking. I'm trying to get away from the burners. I'm just mixing it up. I'm trying to gain experience, try new things, slim down my overall profile, and ultimately lighten up my system. I'm hoping this will do it. In here I have some fuel canisters. Basically I have small soda bottle preforms that I'm going to use to hold my fluids. This will hold the alcohol. I have about 12 ounces of fuel in here. I don't think that's enough to sustain an entire trip, and I do have an additional bottle coming that will hold some more fuel. But I'm going to continue to experiment with this stove and see what it can do for me. And I know even the worst case scenario, I can always go and use processed wood. Finally, I just have my small Tokes titanium spork and also a Vargo long-handled titanium spoon. So that should take care of my ability to cook and also eat my food. And just finally, on the outside of the bag, here I have a Stanley stainless steel cup. At some point I plan on trying to upgrade this to a titanium cup. That will come in time, and maybe even also with my cooking system, maybe trying to get away from the stainless steel into a titanium option. So anyway, a couple of things I still need to work on to get this completely dialed in, but at the same time I feel like I'm getting pretty close. Now again, like I mentioned, I do not have my food in here, nor any of the sacks or bags related to maintaining my food, and the other thing that I don't have in here is my water. Typically for my water, what I tend to do is use some sort of a hydration bladder. I'll basically carry one of them completely full, if not two completely full, depending on the scenario that I'm going into. If I know I have an ample water source available to me, I'll probably only carry one of those and leave one of them empty and then fill them up when I need to. Or if I know I'm going to a place where water's very scarce or going to be hard to come across, I will fill both of those. And depending on the trip, I'll carry generally close to a gallon of water, at minimum 3 liters, but generally a full gallon of water to make sure that I have enough to sustain me. So all right guys, that's just a quick look at my 2017 backpacking gear loadout. Each time I do one of these, I really see for myself how much my kit has improved, where I've been able to shed some pounds, but at the same time I still see where I need to make some improvements. So that kind of gets me a little more dialed in. Part of the fun of backpacking is really the ability to choose the right gear and apply it to the situation that you're getting yourself into. And I think I'm at least on the right track. So leave me some comments, let me know what you think. It's because of a lot of you that I've been able to dial this gear in and really get a much more refined and comfortable system for me. So your comments are very, very welcome, and I appreciate it very much. So all right guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.